Welcome back to watching Sports Live on SABC News Channel. Now, earlier this year, South African hockey announced the retirement of Lennie Botha as head coach of the SPAR South Africa women's indoor hockey team in a relationship that goes back to 2024. Well, he has since been replaced by AJ Spieringshoek. I hope I pronounced it well. He's going to join right now. Well, who's been assistant since 2019. Well, AJ, I'm going to ask you. I want you to pronounce his name for me. Spieringshoek. Is that correct?
Spieringshoek, yeah, that's correct.
You see, my guy, you chose the toughest name to pronounce on the day I had to do the interview with you. Welcome to Sports Live on SABC News Channel, brother. Quick one. Yes. I mean, you come with obviously a wealth of information. You come with a wealth of experience. You bring to the team for, well, a good time. And as far as assistant coach is concerned, you come into a point where, hockey is doing the things. We saw how the boys handled the inbound championships a short while ago in Pretoria. And a lot is expected of this team in particular. Yes, we know the problems they have off the field, but it's on the field results that you expected to deliver to shut the noise off the field.
Yeah, it is a tough time, but I think it's also a very exciting time. Having hosted the World Cup in Pretoria earlier this year was an absolute privilege and an honor. It always is to represent your country, but to have a World Cup there was pretty special. So I think growing from that, there's a lot of excitement about the ladies team, particularly because we obviously came fourth. Obviously, a little bit disappointing to lose the semi-final in a bronze medal game, but it was the highest finish we've ever had. So there's a lot of excitement. So despite little noises here and there outside of the game, I think everybody's excited and everybody's positive, and I'm very positive over the next couple of years to try and build a team that can compete at the next World Cup.
Speak to us about, a lot of people who don't know who AJ is, your experience as far as hockey is concerned. And I ask that because, there is outdoor hockey, and I want to differentiate this. A lot of people, when they think of hockey, they think of, you go to a school, the kids play out in the fields. The experience with indoor hockey and outdoor hockey are vastly, different. The rules, technicalities, there's a lot that you guys go through that outdoor hockey and vice versa doesn't go through.
Yeah, so fundamentally, you're correct. Fundamentally, the games are very different. There's a lot of different ways that you do things on an indoor court that you wouldn't do on an outdoor court. But I think the advantage that indoor hockey does bring is the way that it can correlate to the outdoor game. So I remember when I played hockey or played indoor years ago, we used to use it as a base to start our outdoor preparation. So we would play from about November, have a little break, and then from January we would play competitively in the league and use it as a fitness base as well as a technical base to build towards the outdoor game. But the game's evolved so much that it's almost become a standalone event. Obviously, as you see now, a lot more players are playing the indoor game. A lot of school kids are playing the indoor game. It's become a very popular version of the game. I mean, the 11-a-side game will always be something that our teams aspire to. I mean, the Olympics is definitely something that players want to go to. But the indoor game has become very exciting, and it's become a very fast and shorter version, but very, very intense.
It's almost like action sports, so to speak. I mean, you watch it, you want to be there because, the excitement is there. I mean, I think it's the Hartfeld Arena in Pretoria where the indoor championships were held, and packed capacity crowds that were there, and you could tell the mood was up there, and it was a typical South African weekend almost every day when people, especially the kids, enjoy themselves.
Yeah, when we got the fixtures and we saw that we were the first game at 8:30 in the morning at Hartfeld Arena on a Sunday morning, we were a bit skeptical that there wouldn't be many people that will be attending. But we arrived at the field at about 7:30, 20:07 in the morning, and there was probably almost 2,000 people in the stands already. And it was unbelievable to see that. And just how everybody embraced the World Cup. It really was. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now because, it was one of the most epic first games that we could ever had. I mean, we unfortunately lost to Austria, ended up winning the silver medal, but it was such a close game that anyone could have won it. But it was a very special feeling. I mean, for the way they transformed Hartfeld Arena into a hockey court was special to see, and it really was one of those experiences that we won't forget very easily.
And it goes to speak about how South Africans love their sport and how South Africa embrace their sports. The women's team, 6th in the world rankings. I think they're the highest ranking hockey team in the world, as far as South Africa is concerned anyway. Tough job ahead of you, because at the end of the day, South Africans are very critical. As much as we love our teams, we want results first and excuses later. Where do we start?
Yeah, I agree with you. I know it's going to be one tough job. I mean, to go and beat fourth at the World Cup again is always going to be hard. To make a semi-final, become the top 4 teams in the world is very difficult. For me, the starting point is always to look at where we've come from, what the styles of hockey they've played, the way that we've done things, the structures we've put in place. Reflect on that, reflect on the World Cup. Obviously, that's our most recent tournament. And then obviously look forward to 2025 and say, we've got a World Cup in 2025. We have an Africa Cup in June of next year.
Yeah.
And then plot the way forward to that point. I mean, we will have some disruptions here and there. But the exciting thing is that we are going to give, of our squad of 24 that we have currently, there will be debutants in the next series that we'll play. There will be players that will be giving their first time. There will be players that will be sitting out. Various things will happen. I think the key for me is to focus on performance first and focus on understanding each person's role, whether it be a staff member, whether it be a player in the team, so that we're all on the same page first, because we all want to be on that same road going towards the World Cup, or let's say Africa Cup first, because that's very important first. And then obviously ultimately going to the World Cup and getting the best performance. So I think trying to understand where we're at and where going forward is important first. We have to reflect before we can move forward.
It becomes a bit difficult as well, and I say this with all the respect to South Africa and our coaches. Yes, we want those results, but we put so much pressure on you because we also ask you to develop. We also ask you to bring in the transformation. We also ask you to bring those results. But the important part is, and I was seeing earlier whilst we were preparing for this interview, there is this junior league of the FSI or something that I realized online. So there is a huge underground movement, I say in inverted commas, of indoor hockey in South Africa. And it's got huge support. It's something that hopefully you'll be looking to tap into in all those aspects to get those youngsters coming through, because there are a lot of kids out there who would like to be, well, South African representatives. Forget the politics at the end of the side. But realistically, where we speak to you as the head coach, there's a lot to look forward to down the line.
I'm very, very positive about that. I do think that I'm an advocate for giving young players an opportunity and giving them a quality opportunity. So giving them an opportunity to be exposed at international level, whether it be younger players arriving at a camp, whether it be younger players giving them a chance. And PSI, which is the tournament, I've been part of PSI since the beginning. I was one of their coaches at a junior level, and that's where I learned a lot of my indoor hockey, as well as obviously chatting to other coaches and chatting to and researching. And PSI, it was about 90% of our squad that was at the World Cup had come through a PSI at some point. And it's just a very, very fun tournament that kids look forward to all the time. So it's a good place for players to grow, good places for coaches to grow, and good places for officials to grow as well. I also feel that one thing that I would like to do, and I've had long discussions with SA Hockey about this, is to take the national game or take the international game to maybe cities that don't experience international hockey, whether it be, and I use it as example, whether it be a Kimberley, a Bloemfontein, any other place. We usually confine currently to Cape Town and to Durban, but I feel that we can extend that. And if you look at it from a transformation point of view, one of the ways we do that is to create, take these international hockey players to these areas, and play in those areas. There's people that are yearning for international hockey, and I think that's something we might not be able to get it right within a year's time, but we've got so many of these government, municipal facilities. They might not have maybe the best floor, or maybe they don't have the right size, but we can always work around things like that. And I think that's something very important that we need to do to at least grow the indoor game, because there are those valuable opportunities for us.
Yeah, and then corporate sponsors, then that's one thing that needs to come on board. Hockey, let alone indoor hockey, is one of the so-called minority sports, or the Cinderella sports, if you can call it that, in the country. Yet, if you go once again to the ground level, to schoolboy level, so to speak, there's a huge following there. How important is it to get corporate South Africa to say, look, like netball, we have a Netball World Cup in the country now. They've always struggled through the years. I think you guys are basically in the same, boat, so to speak. It's just that they've just had an opportunity to be shone on them, the spotlight shone on them more.
Yeah, we're very fortunate as the ladies team that SPAR is our headline sponsor, and they've looked after us for the last couple of years, and they've been really, really good. And I'll be honest that I am grateful for that. We are not blessed with millions of funds that teams that we can use. As you would have heard, a lot of our outdoor players or players that go to World Cups or any tournaments overseas sometimes most of the time have to foot the bill themselves. So I am blessed that I'm in a situation that we do have some sort of funding that players don't have to worry about paying to go to certain tournaments. But if I also look at it, is that we've got to just be careful with how we use that money. Be smart of what type of development we're using. So I do think it's very important that Corporate South Africa comes on board. I mean, anybody who was at the World Cup will agree that indoor is one of the most exciting games that you can watch. I still have this wild dream that indoor hockey will make a debut at the Winter Olympics, where there's many reasons why it's
It'll be in-house, so...
If you look at the amount of teams that are playing, the indoor game specifically, it's usually a Eastern European type countries, your Czech Republic, Austria, Poland. So countries that struggle obviously can't really play indoor or outdoor hockey outside because it's snowing or the weather's bad. They play indoor hockey. And I mean, those are the countries that are sending a lot of athletes to the Winter Olympics. So I have this crazy idea. I mean, how I'm going to get it right, I still don't know, but it is something that I think could work.
Yeah, I've got a direct line to Saskok, so maybe you and I will talk after this. But whilst we're at it, with regards then to keeping the stars that we have in-house, in South Africa, so to speak, because if we wake up every day, we see them playing, whether it's Marks Park, whether it's in Durban, whether it's in Pretoria, or whether it's in Cape Town. A Tabiso's daughter who sees that young, that lady playing hockey, my daughter says, one day I want to be that person. How important is it then to get that parity in pay at home, to get that league, to keep them at home instead of going internationally as well?
Yeah, I think that's very important because we have a lot of, we had a girl attend one of our camps and I think she was 16 or 17 years old. And she said to me, it's so amazing that I'm here because only a few years ago, these girls were my heroes. And now suddenly I'm at a training camp with them. Yeah. So I think that's very important. And that it goes back to what I was saying about trying to, when we put on our South African kit, we represent our country and everything we do is to do things for our country, and to make our country better. And we know we're a resilient country. And the more that we do things like that and keep that as our focus, I think we'll start winning the hearts of people. And it's not, the win's always important, but it's those people every now and then that we're trying to inspire, that next generation. The Springbok rugby team did it. Many sports teams did it. Banyana, I can mention all our national teams. We want to obviously create, and that's why I still say taking the team to the community and being one with the community is very, very important as a national team.
AJ Spieringshoek, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck, and I think what you just said is quite important. I mean, speaking to Cecilia Molokwane, Netball South Africa president, a couple of days ago, when she said, right at this moment, it's got nothing to do with the World Cup. It's got to do with inspiring everyone else who's going to be watching the World Cup in South Africa, what it will leave for them, the legacy that a tournament or South Africa showcasing their prowess will leave for the next generation.